Today we have the dumbest thing I've seen in the military, Marine Corps Chronicles by Ratmati. Yo, as you guys know, I'm about to be joining the military, so we're trying to get a little bit of information as we can. I'm gonna be leaving in around March. So yo, if you guys don't see me posting as much for a calm 2 or 3-ish months, bro, just know I'm outside doing my thing. I wanna be monetized right before I leave, so if we can get to 1K, you guys leave a like and subscribe, bro. Yo, that'll be my best graduation gift, bro. I want to come back seeing the channel doing well. Alright, but let's get straight into it.
In the Marines, or the military in general, you will see some of the dumbest things beyond human comprehension. Stuff that makes you go, man, I must be tweaking. But in the Marines, a branch literally known to be crayon eaters, I'm just gonna say that things can get a little squirrely. In this video, I'm gonna go over some of the times I witnessed stuff that made me kinda question reality and maybe tweak a little. This video is going to be 2 stories in one as a big thank you for reaching 25,000 subscribers. And if you missed the first 4 episodes, hey, well, no need to get all squirrely because I put the first 4 episodes in one video for your convenience, if you want to watch it, that is. So while all these stories have really stupid moments in their own way, I'll just tell them in chronological order, and what better way to start than a boot camp story where it all began.
We finna go to boot camp soon.
Do you remember Private Pyle, the guy in the movie Full Metal Jacket who was a constant fuck up and a little slow? Well, there's one thing that the movie got wrong about Marine Corps boot camp, which is that there isn't usually just one Private Pyle in your boot camp platoon. There's at least 3. I am dead serious when I say this, but there are people in the military who should low-key not be there. We usually make jokes and call these people ASVAB waivers, the ASVAB being the military entrance exam. There are people in the military who I would not...
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I had a great ASVAB score. I had a decently good at ASVAB score. I think I scored a 60, high 60s, which is not bad. But yo, people were scoring 80s and all that, bro. Where they could get any job that they wanted. I was not like that. I did not care, bro. I wanted a certain job, and guess what, chat? We got that certain job. Low key.
Trust with a loaded firearm. And I'm just being honest. In the movie Full Metal Jacket, there is a scene where Private Pyle doesn't know his left from his right while doing drill, and he gets slapped for it. I remember seeing that scene.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie. I feel like that shit might happen to me in BMT, bro. Nah, cause yo, under pressure, bro, they're telling you your left from your right, bro. I'm a panic a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a panic a little bit. Shoot.
Way back in high school before I enlisted, and I just kind of laughed it off as movie liberties and exaggerations.
Hopefully it's not too
I had people in boot camp who literally did not know their left from their right. I remember on numerous occasions where drill instructors would say some shit like left boot on the body, ready move, all that stuff. And there would literally be some people putting on their right boot. It got me a little jittery. It got me a little heated. I ain't gonna lie. When I say stupid, I don't mean, oh, you don't know how to find derivatives of functions written in polar coordinates? Dumbass. No. That's not what I mean. When I say stupid, I mean people who probably butt chug paint thinner growing up. About a month into boot camp, and I remember to be about a month because we had recently gotten our quote-unquote square away time. Square away time is an hour in the evening of essentially free time. You don't get phones or anything. In fact, you don't get to bring phones with you to boot camp at all. And I didn't even see any real electronics, and definitely not any smart devices until after I graduated boot camp. But square away time was just time to write letters, clean, organize your gear, work out if you really wanted to, or my favorite square away time activity, use the bathroom with minimal risk of some drill instructor pulling a peeping Tom on you. And it is considered a privilege. Your DIs can take away square away time from you just as fast as they gave it to you 3 to 4 weeks into boot camp. So during one of these square away times, I got to talking to one of the other recruits there, and I'll just call him Pyle, for reasons you'll find pretty obvious soon. Pyle was not all there in the head. I'm pretty sure dude had a bit of minor brain damage, or at least an undiagnosed CTE, to be fair. Look, I'm not trying to be mean here, but dude had at least a brain worm speaking to him in his head, alright? He struggled with a lot of basic tasks. You would have to mark your gear a certain way with stamps and stuff, and you would fold your sheets a certain way, and I can just see him struggling with all these pretty basic tasks. And whenever I could lend him a hand and get away with it, I would. So on this day, he actually called me over to his rack. Rack is his bunk, essentially, during our square away time. I didn't think too much about it, right? He was probably going to ask me to help mark his gear or something, or so I thought. Except this dude wanted my advice for some crazy ass medical treatment he was about to pull on himself. Dude had pink eye. Now that was normal in boot camp. In fact, in boot camp, you're going to get sick. And keep in mind that pink eye
Whoa.
is highly contagious and that shit spreads like wildfire. And
Whoa.
you're housed in like essentially
I'm
a
trying to get
big
pink eye.
ass room with like 90 other dudes potentially, all sharing the same space. You're gonna get sick. I got pneumonia in boot camp. One of my drill instructors got fucking tuberculosis. I shit you not. And we all had to get these like shots in our
Nigga, what? Wait. How the fuck are these niggas getting tuberculosis, bro? Yo, I ain't gonna lie. Yo, chat, I think I'm gonna have to go to BMT with a mask on, bro. Cause what the fuck? Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
arms that like swell up a little bit and they gotta see how it swells in. I'm not a doctor. Long story, but the gist is that pink eye and sickness was pretty normal in boot camp. So when this dude showed me his pink eye, I was like, alright, whatever. I didn't think too much about it until he told me that it was really bothering him and he wanted it gone. And so he devised a plan to pour hand sanitizer in his eyes
Why?
to cure his
How can you be this dumb, bro? How can you be this dumb? I would just let him do it. To be honest, I'll just let him do it.
pink eye. Now, I'm no doctor, like I said, and you might call me crazy here, but I don't think that's how that shit works. Obviously, I tell him it's a stupid ass idea, and this dude, he literally glares at me, points to the small travel size hand sanitizer bottle, and to the part where it says it kills like 99.9% of germs, and then he
Alright, bro. Nah. There's no reason we're arguing with stupid, bro. You just let him do that shit. Just okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, bro. I ain't gonna say nothing. Go ahead. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
points to his eyes, and I'm paraphrasing, but tells me that he was either told by the DI or someone medical, I forget, but he was told that pink eye is caused by like fecal matter in the eyes. Fecal matter has
Yeah.
germs, and therefore hand sanitizer will kill those germs. First of all, do not try this at home. But second of all, in a really stupid way, what he said does kind of make sense. Now, I'm not saying it does make sense. It doesn't. But to like a stupid person, it would kind of make sense. Does that make sense? Like, I'm trying my best to explain to him scientifically why that is a moronic idea. And it's not like I can just whip out my phone or use AI. I mean, that wasn't even a thing then. But I'm trying to explain away a stupid idea without being able to use more complex concepts because he wouldn't understand them. Sort of like showing someone how to swim without actually swimming. But that person is also a 3-time drowning champion. And I kind of settle with giving him kind of equivalent scenarios, not verbatim, but stuff like, hey, you know how you use bleach to clean your toilet and it kills germs, but you wouldn't want to use it on your eyeballs? So tell me why I'm like halfway through my second example when this dude cuts me off again, looks at me like I'm crazy, and he
Let him
points
do
to
it, bro.
me and then to the hand sanitizer bottle and
Let him
tells
do
me to read it. Like I'm
him
the
do it.
one who's lost and confused. At that moment, I
him
was a
do it,
little squirrely. Here I am on my Scarway time, which we only get an hour of, trying to convince a dude not to put hand sanitizer in his eyes. In this world, you can tell some people not to touch an open flame because it's hot
They're gonna
and they
do it.
will listen. Others, you might need to explain a little bit more. You know, maybe have them hold their hand a little closer to the flame to feel some of that heat so they get the idea. And some people, they just need to get burned to learn a lesson. And in this case, I figured Powell was just the dude that needed to touch fire and
Yep.
learn his lesson. And so, after saying all that I could say, I told him to look, please reconsider what you're about to do, and I left. The following day, we did our normal daily stuff, and I saw
Alright.
Powell here and there. And keep in mind, this was boot camp during peak summertime, and so we had close to 90 people in our platoon. You see a lot of people throughout the day, but you can't really just like stop and hold a conversation with them without, well, someone fucking you up. And Powell looked pretty normal throughout most of the day. I mean, I figured if he was gonna go through with putting hand sanitizer in his eyes, he wouldn't be so vapid. So I decided to check up on this dude during square away time. However, when square away time rolled around that evening, I didn't see Pyle in the main squad bay. And so there's really only one place he could be, the bathroom, or as we called it, the head. Now, I was not about to go in the bathroom and hold a full-blown conversation about pink eye with this dude. And keep in mind that bathrooms in Marine Corps boot camp, and probably other branches too, are open. There are side dividers,
What?
but no actual stall door. And there are like two sets of
Wait. You tell me I'm finna go to BMT, fucking peeing with yo. You tell me I'm finna go to training, bro, with no bathroom, like this shit open. Yo, like you can't even take a shit in peace, bro. Like actually, yo, is it like too late to like to back out of this or like what? Cause I haven't went yet,
toilet
bro.
seats facing each other. If I remember correctly, like 5 in each row. Don't quote me on that. And to be honest, now that I think about it, I don't even know why they bothered with the side stalls. The bathroom was still pretty much open and the showers were literally just those open showers. I mean, I didn't mind because even if it was awkward at first, you did get used to it. But the stalls just made the bathroom harder to clean. Anyways, whatever. Going back on track, right? So it was normal to have full-blown conversations with other recruits while using the toilet or showering. But most people like to use the bathroom in peace, as did I. And I didn't want to violate that or violate his privacy by having a conversation about his devious plot and pink eye in the middle of the open, essentially. So I'm waiting, and it's nearing the end of our square away time. I'm doing some bullshit while waiting, cleaning, writing letters, I don't fucking know. And I remember thinking, man, maybe Powell went down to medical and I just didn't see him. And more minutes go by, and now I see everyone starting to wrap up whatever they were doing. They're putting away their letters, storing away their gear, and suddenly I see Powell walk out of the bathroom, and this dude looks like he experienced a demonic possession. Dude's eyes were blood red. It wasn't pink eye anymore, it was pack-a-punch pink eye. I walked up to him, trying not to draw too much attention, but the first thing I say is, ain't no goddamn way. And he tells me that instead of pouring hand sanitizer in his eyes like his original plan, he instead took one of those brown paper towels, you know what I'm talking about, right? That shit that could double as sandpaper, dabbed them in hand sanitizer and used them to quote-unquote clean his eyes. And the moment the paper towel touched his eyes, it obviously started burning. And so he spent the majority of square away time afterwards flushing out his eyes with water. I don't think I need to explain anymore why that was a stupid ass idea. And I am grateful that he kind of listened, compromised, and decided to dab his hand sanitizer in his eyes instead of going all in. He probably would have gone blind, but his eyes had that demonic red glow to them for like the next 2-3 days or so. The drill instructors never found out because, to be honest, I don't think they really cared unless Powell actually went blind. The moral of the story: pay attention in school, kids.
Gotcha.
This story does end with some people getting negative paperwork and other stuff like negative counseling. I keep privacy in mind in all of my videos, but I want to make it extra known for this story because if you went to Marine combat training with me, you know exactly what story I am about to tell. But don't worry, I'm not here to expose anyone or put anyone on blast. It's just me being clear and just me telling the story. And this story takes place right after I graduated from boot camp. I was a 0621, by the way, or a field radio operator, and I also picked up a secondary 0933 MOS later that I high-key enjoyed more, but that's for another time. And for those that don't know, Pogues like me go to a month-long course after boot camp called Marine Combat Training, or MCT, and infantry MOSs go to ITB. MCT was pretty fun, and for the most part, it was just a regular course, meaning that, yes, we got fucked with here and there because we were boots, but for the most part, we were there to learn some stuff, finish required training, and then head on our way to MOS school. There was really no problems at MCT until we got to the final event, which was a live fire machine gun shoot paired with buddy rushes with also live rounds. But before we get to what happened, I need to set the scene. When you see videos of people doing cool shit in the military, keep in mind that for every minute of that cool shit, there are hours of preparation, movement, waiting, cleaning, and just bullshit. So before we got to the culminating event, we had also spent the last few weeks doing a variety of other things and hiking and all that stuff. I found it to be pretty fun, and so did everyone else. I think at least. But on the way to our final event was an early morning hike. We had to bring our machine guns alongside our other stuff like the spare barrel and tripod back, some water jugs, and just other random stuff they make you carry on a hike. It was also my turn to carry the M240 Bravo. By turn, I mean I was voluntold. Now, I am not a machine gunner. You machine gunners, hey, you probably enjoy carrying the 240. I, however, did find the M240 uncomfortable to carry. I hear someone typing already, oh, you're a pussy, blah, blah, blah. By uncomfortable, I just mean it was uncomfortable. Like, if you pointed at me and asked if I would rather hike with or without a machine gun over my shoulders, I would choose to walk around without a machine gun, unless I can keep it. And it wasn't just because of the weight of the machine gun, although it certainly wasn't light either, but as a radio operator, carrying all my gear along with like a backpack radio and all the other shit you need for a radio, and the spare batteries, that shit does get pretty heavy. Thankfully, the batteries for the radios are these like hefty green or tan cubes that you can kind of just Tetris in your bag, like you're looting in Tarkov. I usually just stuck them either in my day pack or dump pouch when I was out of space, and while carrying a bunch of batteries does get heavy, they feel nicer because again, you can Tetris them in your bag so they fit it comfortably. That was not the case with the 240, at least for me. Hey, I can only speak for myself. It just felt really awkward whenever I threw it over my shoulders and hiked with it, because I felt like it was just oddly shaped with like a weird weight distribution, right? Like if you hike with the 240, hey, let me know if you agree with me or I'm just going crazy. So I'm hiking along and someone next to me is carrying some almost full water jugs and some other BS. I could tell this dude wasn't having a good time either, but since I had the 240 and was also not having a good time for reasons I just explained, I asked if we wanted to switch. And so about halfway through the hike, we switched roles. I pass on my 240 for this guy to carry and I start hiking with all the shit that he was carrying. But as I'm passing off the 240, this dude grabs the machine gun to carry and sling over his shoulders and neck the way I did it, but something just looked off. I couldn't quite place my finger on it then, but it did look like something was wrong with his flak jacket. But whatever, we finished the hike, did our live fire culminating event later in the day, and we were getting ready to pack up and leave when I hear one of our combat instructors pissed off and yelling. So naturally, we all gather in a group, and it turns out that he caught a few people with no ceramic sappy plates in their flak jacket. Sappy plates, or just plates, are the hard armor inserts that are actually rated against rifles and other intermediate and full-powered cartridges, of course depending on the ballistic rating of the plates. And for those that don't know, these sappy plates are inserted from the bottom of the flak jacket or plate carrier, and they are velcroed in so that they can be easily removed or replaced as needed. We had on flak jackets which had some rigidity to them and soft armor protection, even without plates, meaning that while you can notice if someone isn't wearing their plates in a flak jacket, it's less noticeable than not wearing plates in like just a straight up plate carrier. In other words, this dude thought he could remove his plates from his flak jacket and hike like that to make things more comfortable. Unfortunately for him, the jig is up. Our combat instructors had all of us line up in a big ass group, and he and other instructors told us that this was our last chance to confess or else we get NJP'd and just fucked up. Now, if you aren't wearing your plates, they would be in your main pack because that's the only other place they would be unless you straight up left them in the squad bay, which you're extra stupid if you did that. And as we staged our main packs, they were just too far away for anyone to grab or sneak their plates in. So if you were not wearing your plates then, you were fucked. Thankfully, being a good boy and motivator myself, I had my plates in. But I saw some people getting a little squirrely. That moment, I thought back to the dude who took the M240 from me, moving weird. And so I figured that the dude caught without his plates probably wasn't the only one. And after a few more minutes of getting blasted, more people confessed. Just like I thought, to where we had now 6 to 8 guys with no fucking plates for the live fire culminating event. The one time that you might want to wear some body armor in case some other PFC pops you. Or maybe I pop you accidentally. And that was a stupid decision. But all that skating because you didn't want to hike with body armor on? Or at least the plates in them? Are you serious? You joined the military. You did not think you were going to be wearing body armor and hiking and something?
But those plates cannot be that heavy, especially if it's protecting your life, bro. Those motherfuckers is dumb.
So the instructors go down each row and they just pounded us. Sorry, I always said that. They stiff armed us in the chest and back to make sure that we had our plates in. But at that point, all the people with no plates had already confessed, because how the actual hell are you gonna fake having your plates in? So we go back to the barracks, and for the rest of MCT, we constantly made jokes and called the 6-day people not wearing their plates as the sappy plate boys. As for what happened to the sappy plate boys, well, the instructors pulled them to the side and they were dealt with. Now, I know some of the guys got extra firewatch because my ass saw them pulling firewatch duty that night for way longer than like a normal firewatch shift. Someone also told me they got negative paperwork alongside some other people. And it seemed like the severity of the punishment was also how honest you were. Did you confess, or did you try to play the long game? I don't think the instructors for our platoon wanted to explain to the chain of command why almost 10 of their students didn't wear their plates to the live fire exercise, especially since we were all about to graduate. And so they never followed through with giving like 8 people on full-on NJP. At least to my knowledge. The guys I talked to after this happened could have all gotten NJP'd for all I know, but agreed to tell everyone else that they got a lesser punishment. And we were all privates and PFCs at the time, so it's not like they could have really gotten demoted. The moral of the story, don't be stupid, and you might want to wear your gear properly. Thank you for listening.
Shoot, now we learn what to do and what to not do at BMT, chat. I swear to God, yo, I can't wait to go and do it. And I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna tell you guys some of my stories. But before we go, you know what we're trying to do? We're trying to get the channel to 1K before we set out to BMT. So leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next video. Yo, deuces.